Hey, everyone, we're setting everything up. Thanks for joining us. We'll get started in just a second. Enjoy the great music. Over in the chat box, tell us where you're from and how much money you got to donate. I'm just kidding about the donate. Hey, as more people join us, we're getting ready. I got Ross Powell in the virtual green room. We're going to start in just a second. I'll go through a few announcements and some of our guests. So stay tuned. Give me about 15, 30 seconds. Okay, we're going to get this show on the road. Okay, everyone. Hey, I want to welcome you this evening. We have Ross Powell, which is a preparedness investor genius, and we're going to go through some of that, of what that means and what he does. And he'll be in the house in just a second. I want everyone to know this is it's Preppernet is putting this on. Preppernet is a organization of like-minded individuals. We put together meetups in your local town so you can meet other people. And the idea is if you're not in the group, you're going to die. And yes, I say that with no smile, but you have to have community. And that's what Preppernet is all about, is introducing you to people in your area so you can meet other people. And we have meetups throughout the United States and world. Actually, I don't think I have any of the out of the United States listed. I need to add them. But we're in about 80 cities. If there's a city leader, they have a meetup. Go to meetup.com and search for your area. If there's not one in your city, not one in your village, because we're not going to be in a village. If there's not one in your city, let us know and we can help you start one there. And we have a whole package to help you get set up and going. We also are listener supported. It's a cup of coffee is what it costs to help support this organization. It's about $40 a year. That's a cup of coffee in Portland. I say it every time because have you been to Portland? Well, don't go. It's dangerous. But anyway, trust me, they've raised it to like $40 right now. But it's $40. It allows us to do things like our mailing lists and the videos that we bring here. This stuff is not free. I have a full-time job. This is not my full-time job. So anyway, go to Preppernet. You can join us free, absolutely free, or you can help us out by $40 subscription. So we appreciate that. That helps a lot. Just for an example, our meetups, take 80 meetups. That cost me over $6,000 a year for 8 meetups. Do the math. I do want to make a huge announcement. Most of you guys already know about this, but we have moved to MeWe. We have shut down Facebook. Well, at least we haven't shut it down. We're just moving our social media to MeWe. So we do have a Facebook page. We don't want you to post a thing there. We just want people to find us. And when they find us, we're going to send them to MeWe. We're done with Facebook. We're not going to support them. But we are going to so we're not going to give them any activity, but people that do find us, we're going to ship them to MeWe. In less than 48 hours, we've moved over 2,500 new people from Facebook to our MeWe site. There's a lot going on over there, so you need to go ahead and jump in over at MeWe. So, and just search Preppernet and you will find us. So we do this every Thursday night, except the upcoming Thanksgiving. But as you can see, we had Glenn Tate and Shelby Gallagher on last week. Awesome. They do a podcast. They're both authors. This week, we have Ross Powell from Survival 401k. Next week, we have my brother from a different mother, Jonathan Hollerman from Grid Down Consulting. We're going to be in a documentary together that was supposed to come out like 6 months ago. Still hasn't come out yet. But he got a great book called Survival Theory. And then on November 26th, that's when you start your prepping. You stay home, spend time with the family. We're not going to be live that night. Then I got YouTube sensation, Prepper Princess. I kid you not. She has 150,000 followers. She is an amazing lady. She's completely debt-free. She lives on like $800 a month, or maybe it's $1,000 a month, and she teaches people how she does that. She cooks with a sun oven a lot, so I like her. But she's an amazing lady. You need to tune in and get to meet her. Then I've got Kyle is going to come out of his bunker, and he's not dead. If you listen to the podcast, he's not dead. He's going to come out. I had breakfast with him this morning. He's coming up with all kinds of conspiracy theories. He has more conspiracy theories in his head than I think have ever been created. So he's going to come on. It's always fun, and he always gets real deep, and I make fun of him. So it's a good night. And then we're going to have a Christmas show. Yes, a Christmas show. And it's going to have Scott Hunt, Engineer 775. The guy that had created a gasifier to run his truck. He builds underground bunkers that are multi-million dollars. The dude knows what he's doing. And we're going to talk about prepping and Christmas. And, if it's not your cup of tea, you're not drinking tea. So let's keep going here. My next announcement. So you guys know I wrote a book a couple years ago called The Case for Christian Preparedness. Then I just published a new one called Stand Firm to the End. These books are a little bit about prepping, but it takes you through the Bible and why I think the Bible demands us to be preppers. and I use Bible verses, and I actually got theologians to back me up. So this isn't forced word. This is God's word with my spin. Not even a spin. Not even my translation. Just bringing some things to light for you. They're both in Amazon. I make a fortune on these. I think on this one, I make like 70 cents. I kid you not. It may be this one, I make like $1.20. So it's not about the money. You know how many I'd have to sell to make $1,000? Really? But you can buy both, and I would make like almost $250. I mean, so it's not about the money. Now I am getting ready to release another one. It is about the money, but it's coming out at the end of the year. So let's see what else we got. I think that's it for the announcements. It is. So tonight we have a special guest. His name is Ross Powell. I met this guy back in 1942. Okay, wait. Okay, maybe it wasn't 42. There's Ross. Ross, say hi. Ross, can you hear me? Ross, can you hear us? We can't hear you. Speak. Ross cannot hear us. So, with that said, I'm going to bring his slide back up and tell you a little. I don't know why he can't hear us. So I'm going to text him real quick and tell him to reconnect. See if you can. Can you talk, Ross? Can you hear me? He just can't hear me. Can y'all hear me? I guess y'all can because y'all not complaining. Ross. Okay, guys, I'm going to remove him. I'm going to go back to the slide. I'm going to give him a call right now. So I'm going to text him. He's coming on, guys. He's there. Well, maybe he doesn't even have his phone.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Now I can see. Now we're live. We're good. We're good.
Yeah, what the heck? I'm texting you, emailing you, sending messages by smoke signals.
Oh, okay. I didn't get anything. That's bizarre.
Okay. Well, Ross, you're on.
There we go. We're back to normal. There we go.
We're back to normal. We were talking earlier, and I'm like, what the heck? He's falling asleep on me.
I am an old man, you know.
So tell us about yourself and really how you kind of got in this area.
Sure. Thanks, Boris. Thanks for having me on because it's a pleasure be here with you. And we met at Prepper Camp many moons ago, and it's good to be here with you. I got into this business back in 2014 I found a product, the Solo 401k that I bought for myself because I left the company, and they sent me a letter saying you have X number of dollars to roll over because you're not with us. And we want to get you out of our retirement system. So I went in and did it, and I rolled it in Solo 401k, and I was able to parlay that in other retirements that I had sitting around in other jobs that I was part of in my past. And by doing that, I was able to, accumulate a large sum of money, bought a retreat property, and was able to outfit it, and had a room for 6 people, plus a barn, plus weapons, ammo, food, all that kind of stuff. So that worked for me. I said, well, if it works for me, I bet I can turn that into a bunch of other people who would love to do the same thing. So that's how I got started. And that started in 2014 and had 2 clients in 14, but at the end of that, just 1 month. And then it's blossomed into over 500 clients in the last 6 years. So it's really grown well. And we helped a lot of people move a lot of money out of the matrix, what I call Wall Street, and into hard assets, into prepping capabilities for folks. So people are just blown away that this has been around since 2002, the product that we have, and only 2% of the population knows anything about it. And the reason for that is if you can manage your own money and get out of the matrix, you're not making money for anybody else. So you're sort of escape from New York sort of thing. So literally, which Wall Street is in New York. So it's escape from New York and taking positive control over your retirement monies and utilizing it for things that you can use long term and you have physical possession of.
So you're not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of Wall Street because the game it's literally like Vegas. It is set up to always win.
All right. It's a big club and you're not part of it.
Right. And we, the small investors, we make up like a single digit of what goes on Wall Street. We take rides that major players and countries and companies and really wealthy people, we take rides with them. That's all we do.
I mean, we chase dollars when it's going up and sell when it's going down. The retail customer and a lot of millennials as well. I don't know what your audience demographic is, but there's an app called Robinhood, and many of the millennials are investing their money. And my daughter, who's 28, is now investing in stocks and thinks it's great. And I try to tell her, you're on the wrong side of that equation. Let me get better the camera for you here. And so they're getting sucked into it too, and so they just fleece them. So you have sovereign wealth funds from countries like Saudi Arabia and the Emirates and all those really a lot of oil wealth just pouring into it, and so they're on the inside and you're not. So right. and they front run you. So what that means is you place an order on Ameritrade or Schwab or whatever platform you may have. You place a trade. An algorithm sees what you did. They buy the stock for 2 or 3 cents more than you, or less, and then sell it back to you. So there's all kinds of illegal things go on. But again, just like we've seen with deep state and things like that, things go on and nobody ever gets punished. Mm-hmm. So the retail customer, which we are, and George Carlin said, like I mentioned, there's a great big club, and if you're probably not in it. So at the end of the day, it's a casino, and a lot of people have lost their butts in 2008 and in 2000, and the market's been swinging. So the thing that makes me crazy is somebody just puts a piece of news out on Drudge or on, which I don't watch anymore or look at anymore, but on any type of financial news, there's a vaccine coming, and this got this type of response. Market goes up 1,200 points in one day, or that's the peak, and it backs down to 800. Then today it goes back down 400. So you just don't know. There's nothing predictable about it, and they said, well, it'll always come back. Well, yeah, you may get 3 or 4% long term over the in there. So I just don't trust it. Now, if I was a Wall Street banker, or I was inside the Dartmouth or Yale or Harvard prep crowd that they all make up from, then yeah, I would probably be part of it because they take care of each other.
So, and Pete, there's a book I think called The Market Maker's Edge. I remember reading that, I think a long time ago. People don't understand the most evil people on earth are not people in politics. They're not people in China. Well, it could be.
Well, they're all part of it.
Yeah. But they are called the market maker.
Oh yeah.
He's the one that buys and sells every transaction you do, and he makes money no matter if you make money or not. And he knows how to get the most money out of every trade that you make. And he always makes money. Never a trade has he ever lost money.
Oh, right. And it's called pump and dump. And they'll say, oh, this great stock's going to go up, and it'll rise for a few days, and then it goes out, and then they squeeze the lemon out, and suddenly you're left holding the bag. Mm-hmm. So, if you're going to get into some stocks, some blue chip stocks, long-term stocks, and we can talk about that, but I'm not a financial advisor. But there's a disclaimer here. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not licensed. I can't give you any advice on Wall Street. So, that's just make sure I'm going to put that disclaimer up right away.
I can give advice. Don't do it because you're going.
Well, don't do it. I mean, that's my best advice. Don't do it.
Yeah, and so what I did, and we're not. This is not about this, but I studied. I'm a weirdo. I study things for a long time, make sure I understand what's going on, and I learned so much about the market maker that I learned a long time ago when I was doing day trading and I was doing a lot of stock investments that that's a game I just can't win. And when I win because someone else chose that I was going to win, not what I wasn't really. I was thinking I was making good sound investments. Now there's some. I mean, buying stocks and holding, I call that my vault. I have stocks that I just hold, and I have, if it goes down, I have insurance. If they go down, that's very technical.
Right.
But I make about 50 trades a year, but I make the same trades every year, and they always work. And that's 7 years of studying particular trades, but I don't get rich, but I just take advantage of what I can. So anyway, we're not talking about the stock market too much.
Oh, well, right. I mean, there's some good dividend stocks, especially if you're older and you want an income.
Yep.
There are still a lot of good companies out there that pay a decent dividend.
Yep.
And so, from an income perspective, that and some bonds that you could get into, some corporate bonds that are really well rated, blue chip that generates income, which is not such a bad thing. But if you think you're going to make money day trading, or you're going to, unless you know what you're really doing, you could lose your backside. So that's just not the game I want to play personally. So, again, that's my opinion.
So back to some of the things that you specialize in. We're going to talk about different investments and all this kind of stuff. But I got introduced to this a long time ago through necessity, I guess, because I won't say I was one of the bad guys, but I was a guy that was putting companies together and taking them public and then selling the company. Totally legit. I was doing it totally legit.
Like the movie Wall Street, right?
Well, no, but what I was doing, they actually investigated me. I'll just be honest. They investigated me and they found absolutely nothing that I was doing wrong. Matter of fact, I mean, but people wanted to invest in some of the companies that I was doing, and because it was a good return, and I figured out, how I could tap into people's 401k. I didn't know what I was doing, but I did it. But then I met you, and you're like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this, and I actually, several people we'll just say people in my survival group are your clients.
Right. Quite a few. Yeah.
Yes. And so I trust you enough and the process enough that people have used you and are still using you for some of their investments.
Right. And when we set their money free and we help them define their own investments through their own aspirations, what they want to get into and their level of risk. So, but they're taking control. They decide what they want to get into. I just present ideas to them, and that whether that works for them or not, and then take their ideas and make sure they stay between the channel markers, right? And they don't go off the rails. That's what my job is, to keep you out of jail and out of the ditch.
Right. And so, and you deal a lot with, especially retirement money, and you don't want people to go broke. So we're not talking about, so if you got like a 401k or an IRA, most people have it in what they think is called a self-directed IRA, because that's what it's titled.
Right.
And it's an institution that holds their money, and they can only invest in the institution's products, correct?
Generally speaking, yeah, depending on which company you're with, but generally speaking, but there are some that will do precious metals, but all of them make you put it in a depository. You can get into various things, but again, most of the products are Wall Street based, unless you get into a full self-directed IRA where you can get into rental properties and land and things like agricultural things. You can definitely do that. But again, you still have a custodian that has to approve it. And there's a lot of reporting that's really unnecessary and invasive. So I saw somebody put a comment about, I lost my money in a voting accident. that's pretty funny because a lot of people say they lose their money in a boating accident, right? So the things that they're gold and things like that. So you still have to have a custodian, where our product is you are the custodian, you're the plan administrator, you're the trustee, and you're the fiduciary. You make the decisions. So if you lose your butt, well, it's on you. And nobody did it for you again. But our job is not to let you do that. Is to keep you in something that's going to be safe and very, everything's got risk, right? You risk leaving the house these days, apparently, with COVID.
So one of the big questions I get is, hey, I don't have enough money to buy some prepping supplies, or I need a bug out location.
Right.
So how could someone use well, first of all, explain what a self-directed IRA is from the terms of what from your angle, not from the institutional angle.
Well, sure. Well, we do self-directed 401ks, which you move your IRA money into, for instance. Now I personally don't do what's called a checkbook IRA. That's not my wheelhouse. I know people that do it and have done it a long time and will do a great job for you. However, they're moving away from that as well and getting into the solo 401k product that we're doing, because there is much less stringent reporting. You only have to file a report to the government, to the IRS, if you're over $250,000. Many people that are probably watching this show may be over that, but many of them are under. So that's a lot less stringent, again, a lot less invasive. And you can get into a lot more things. The rules for precious metals, for instance, are completely more wide open for a 401k versus, because of the plan type that we have, versus an IRA, which strictly puts you into Eagles and Canadian Maples and things like that, where we can get into other things like pre-1964 silver and things of that nature. Better for bartering in a prepper world.
So I'll say it and then you back me up or you kind of explain it. So my understanding is, if I wanted to buy a retreat location, I could use my IRA or 401k to buy that location.
Oh, absolutely. So we would open up an account with us and we'd let's just call it Garvin Enterprises, and Garvin Enterprises sponsors a plan called Garvin Enterprises 401k. And you open up a bank account under that name, then you roll your money into that bank account. You find a piece of property, whether it's 5 acres, 10 acres, 100 acres, whatever you want. You just go and you find it and you stroke a check for it. Now your 401k owns it. Now the 401k can put on a cabin. It can put in beds, put in water, put in electricity, put a septic tank in. You can buy weapons, ammo, storable foods, water purification, solar. All that can be done. It just has to have a fair market value. That's the key thing.
What's my tax consequences for rolling it over into an account where I'm going to be able to do that kind of thing?
Bupkis. It's a complete tax neutral event. So until you use that, so let's say that you buy that and you spend $100,000 outfitting a 10-acre ranch or a ranchette or whatever you want to call it, with a cabin and everything, you drop $100K, then, which sounds pretty close to what I did, a little bit more than that, but you do that and you can't go and use it. You can't have a family reunion on it. But you can inspect it, walk the fence line, make sure there's no squatters, make sure there's no vermin once a month or out often you think it's necessary. And then you come back. But if the balloon goes up and suddenly you have to be in that bug out location and you're eating the food and you're flushing the toilet and you're whatever for any more than 24 hours or more, or 48 hours, then that could be considered a distribution. Well, the dirty little secret is, if we're in a continuity of government situation, who are you going to send your check to for the distribution? You have to wait until the government comes back up again, and then you will be liable for those taxes. And I'm not saying you don't have to pay the tax. You will, and you need to pay that tax on that distribution. I'm just saying at the time when that goes down, there's just no way you're going to be able to do it, simply because the mail won't be running, grid will probably be down, all those kind of things. So, but when society comes back and the United States goes back into its mode, then you have to file the taxes and you have to file your forms and your 1099-Rs and all of that. Okay,
so I got $100,000. I set up an account with you. We open up a checking account and we roll the $100,000 from my IRA. Do I have to roll all of it in there?
You can do as little as we'd have a $15,000 minimum. simply because our plan has a certain cost, and I don't want you, and I morally won't do it for less than that, because you could just pay the tax and be less than what I'm going to charge you. So I'm not going to take it under that. Right.
I'm really wealthy. I mean, I've got $1 million in my IRA.
You're my new best friend then.
Yeah. And I'm only going to take $100,000 and roll it over to my IRA. And so I have $100,000 in my IRA, or my 401k, you're saying?
Right. In your 401k. Yeah.
And I actually have a checkbook that I have.
Yeah. You have a checkbook and a debit card, and you have a wire and ACH all online capability.
All that. So I can buy property and put it in my 401k's name, whatever that bank account's name is.
Right. Let's say Garvin Enterprises 401k PSP for this illustration. Yeah.
Yep. And then I can buy the property has a house. I can get the house painted from that same money.
Right.
I can then get furniture, beds, guns, and ammo.
Yeah.
Food.
Storable food, but you can't buy the 12-pack of green bean cans at Costco or Sam's. You have to buy the storable, packaged foods that's in tubs and things like, that comes in various tubs.
Like a long-term storage.
Long-term food storage, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Legacy, because that's what all my watchers buy, because I sell Legacy.
Right. So they buy their Legacy food and put their 401k money with their debit card. Yep.
And all that money was from their 401k, and there's no tax consequences at all.
Well, no, and not unless you know. So if you suddenly have to eat that Legacy food, then that's a distribution. You have to keep track of what you ate.
And who would you pay there? Yourself?
No, you pay that. You would have to do a 1099 at the end of the year, and then send that to the government, and then to the IRS, and then you put it on your 1040 in April or October, whenever you file. As income, right?
Okay.
Just like if you take a distribution from a company, it's the same thing. It's just an in-kind distribution is all it is.
Okay. So I can buy guns, ammo. Can I buy a bug-out vehicle?
Sure. No? Absolutely.
Okay.
You can, but you can't drive it.
Okay. Okay. But I could put a deuce and a half to work the farm or
or a tractor or any of that. So long as it has a fair market value, you can. But the moment you use it, so you can have a dual purpose bug out location too. You can have a farm that you lease out to somebody else that's not your relative, not your grandparents or your parents or your children, but your aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, cousin, third time removed can actually, use the land for that, but they have to pay you a lease fee, or or you can use it as a hunting lodge or something like that as well. You could even make it into an Airbnb. I wouldn't recommend that, but you could do that.
But Ross, seriously, I don't want to go to jail.
Well, that's the point. You won't go to jail.
Okay. And so I can take all this money and spend it. Oh, can I have gold and silver there?
Sure. I
can buy and actually physically hold the gold and silver.
Yes, you can, primarily because if you're in a regular 401k, like with a company or an IRA that is strictly verboten, you can't do it. But because if we have a trustee-based plan, you can hold the metals in your possession, preferably in a safe, bolted to the foundation of if you have a basement, that's even better, but bolted to the foundation of your property, so that you can. It's going to take C4 to get it out of there, or a gun to your head for you to open the safe, right?
And I won't go to jail for this.
No, of course not.
Well, why?
Now, if you violate the rules and you go rogue on me and you spend the money, because I've had clients that took their 401k money and paid their cell phone bills, and they've bought Taco Bell, whatever the case may be, and use it as a slush fund, then yes, then that we have to unwind that. But
that's IRS, though, isn't it? That's just taxes you have to pay.
The taxes you have to pay. You're not going to go to jail for it. Now, if you try to hide it and do money laundering, then I'm going to help you go to jail, because I'm not going to let you do that.
So why don't I get a pamphlet from Bank of America or Goldman Sachs about this plan?
Because they don't make any money if you did this.
So I knew all the answers to this, because I love this.
You were leading me down. You were leading the witness, is what
I know. I am leading the witness, because many clients, many people that I've known have done this, and they've taken their money that is stashed up. I mean, So I have one friend. He has a ton of money in his 401k, and he goes, "Gosh, I could literally just live on that, and not even my savings and all my other investment." So he said, "I just want to take that and use that. It's just sitting there." And so he moves it over, and he buys a retreat. He buys the house. He fixes it up, puts his gun safe there, puts his guns there, puts gold and silver, and rents it out to a friend at fair market value.
Right.
And he works it. He goes there every now and then to check on his rental property, and is it legal for him to stay a night? Because he does sometimes.
Yeah, because you have to walk the fence. So you can stay at night, but you can't be there for anything more than that, really. Unless you have 10,000 acres and it takes you 5 days to walk the property, or even in your gator or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But generally speaking, I would recommend anything over 12 to 24 hours is really pushing it.
Okay.
So, it's better just to be there, inspect it, walk around, make sure there's no squatters, whatever, vermin, check your food stores, and then leave. You can, if you're going to be there any length of time to have to walk the property, I'd recommend you stay off-site. Let
me ask you this. Just between me and you, no one else is going to know the answer to this, okay? Is there a police to watch you?
No, there's not a drone flying overhead, but again, we're very strict on following the rules with survival. Okay. So I can't watch what you do. There's an honor system. Okay. So you're going to obey the law or you're not, right? So I prefer you to, I demand you obey the law. And if I find that you're doing something wrong, I'm going to help you get it fixed. And if you're really going rogue, I'm not going to blow the whistle on you, but I'm going to recommend an attorney for you to talk to get fix the problem.
Right. And you've
got a concierge service. We have attorneys that we work with, arrest attorneys and things like that, to help you unwind what you've done wrong. Now, if you're a criminal, I'm dropping you and I'm closing your program out and sending a letter to the IRS. So
you've killed a few people before, some of the things, right?
Just like that. No, but I've helped them unwind their problem. Yes.
Right.
And part of our concierge service are accountants and lawyers to help you fix whatever problem that you got yourself into. Most of the time, it's not, I would say, nefarious. It's just people not following the rules and not just making a guess.
So, question from Elizabeth. Her nickname is Mother Goose.
All right.
How long did he say you could stay on the property purchased by your 401k funds at a given time without having to file a tax liability form?
I would say no more than 24 hours. It again depends on the size of your property. If you have a one acre bug out location, it doesn't take you 24 hours to walk your fence line and check.
What if you're going to go and paint it and do the upfits and do an improvement?
Well, you can't do it personally. It has to be hired out to somebody else. You personally cannot paint it. You can't close it, and you can't buy a cabin shell and you go do the drywall and you do the painting and the plaster and all that. You cannot do that. That is off limits.
Okay. Got you. So, so if people have their money in the 401k or a IRA, you can both utilize your plan to do that.
Sure. You can actually, the only thing you can't move is a Roth IRA. So you can move a 401k, an IRA, a 403B if you're in a nonprofit, a 457A if you work for the city or county government, the TSP with the government, with your thrift savings plan is available. Everything but a Roth IRA is good to go. So if you're in a teacher's retirement or anything like that, all that can be moved.
Mm-hmm. So could you, instead of going all retreat, could you do this on, let's say, a smaller scale, $50,000, and your goal is just to own some silver, a couple AR-15s, some ammo, and survival food? Can you keep that at your house?
Sure, absolutely. It needs to be segregated. So let's say that you bought $20,000 of your own from out of your savings account, and you bought another 20,000 with your 401k. That has to be segregated from the other silver and gold. It can't be commingled.
Right. Okay. So if they come and inspect it, which not probably going to happen, but you as their advisor, you're going to tell them exactly what the letter of the law is, and you expect them to follow that.
That's exactly right.
Right. So Elizabeth, Mother Goose again, says, so you, the owner can't stay there, but they can rent it out. But it can't be immediate family, can it?
It cannot. So your ascendants and descendants cannot be participating in it. So you can't do business with your son, daughter, granddaughter, whatever, parents, grandparents, but your brother, sister, aunt, uncle, niece, nephew are all perfectly fine. Makes no sense if they're all the same DNA, but the IRS says it's ascendants and descendants. The lateral doesn't matter.
Brother is fine,
Brother
but
is fine.
not daughter. Okay. What if you also own the construction company? No, that sounds like you can go to jail for that.
Yeah, I would say no on that. Yeah, that's too close. There need to be a few more degrees of separation there.
Yeah, and I would say if you own a construction company, that means you know other people that own construction companies, and you work out a deal.
Right, there's better known as bartering. Yes.
Right, exactly. So let's see what the so when you're able to use, let's say, the property without worry. So when are you? That's when the grid goes down, or a disaster.
Right, when the grid goes down, or you want to take it as an in-kind distribution, you get to be over 59 and a half, and you don't have to pay that. You don't have to pay that penalty. And right now, between now and December 31st, the CARE Act allows you to take a distribution up to $100,000 with whether it's in kind or in cash without paying the 10% penalty, regardless of your age. And you can pay the tax over 3 years. Again, but that ends December 31st.
So let me ask you a question. So if I buy a property, let's say it's a bigger property, it's $200,000 property, it's a house, everything, and I'm okay with paying that penalty. Would you still recommend I not do it, or can I go and stay for 14 days over the year or 30 days and just write the check at the end of the year?
You want to rephrase that? I'm kind of lost. But so you buy so you're saying buy the property for $200,000. If you're going to stay for more than 24 to 48 hours, regardless of the size of the property, I'm uncomfortable with that.
Oh, even if I'm willing to pay the penalty with a check.
Well, right, but then you take a full distribution, and then it's yours. It's not part of the 401k plan any longer.
No. I'm talking about you're saying if I use the property and I have to pay a penalty in a sense.
Well, you pay the penalty by part of a distribution. There's no use penalty where you're getting like a fine. It's not. That's not how it works.
Okay.
So it becomes invalidated, and that exercised the. You eliminated the qualified. So in a 401k, each investment is a stovepipe. All right. So your land is one stovepipe, your metals are another stovepipe. In an IRA, you have one big bucket. So you violate the rules in an IRA, they invalidate the entire IRA, and you pay tax on everything, whether it's $1 or $1 million. On a 401k, you invalidate one piece of it, you pay the tax on that. Everything else stays intact. That's the benefit, another benefit of the 401k. So if you can step on your sword in one area, but that leaves the other thing, everything else intact.
Okay. So are you saying at 59 and a half, you could literally move in on the property if you wanted to?
Well, you couldn't move in. Well, you could, but you're still going to have a tax liability.
Okay.
Because you will just avoid the 10% penalty of being under 59 and a half.
Okay. I got you.
But you're still going to, because this is all pre-tax dollars. Now, if you have a Roth 401k, excuse me, and that money's been sitting there for over 5 years, you can actually take that money and buy it, and then there are no tax complications there. So I hope that's not getting confusing. It's just that it's
but. So at no point if you're buying the retreat, at no point can you use it for your own gain, even not until you die. You can't.
Well, you can use it. I mean, you can rent it out. You can lease it. I mean, I know people that have bought property, and again, it's not just retreat properties. It's rental properties. It's hunting leases. I know a lot of people right now are doing the big hot thing is buying 20 acres or 30 acres and breaking it up and putting tiny houses on it and with like a central meeting room or whatever. And people go and rent those houses out for $100, $200 a night, and they usually utilize the property. They'll have ATVs and maybe a fishing pond or whatever. And there's a lot of people want to get away from the city, and they make a ton of money because all that money comes back to your 401k tax deferred. So there's a lot of ways you can do that. And then you would carve out a piece of that, take the distribution and say 2 acres for yourself, and you pay the taxes on that. And then everything is contingent, but there's your sort of your business sitting there, but it's your 401k.
So this is more of an insurance policy with your investments and still be able to make a good return on your investments.
Exactly. It's just getting your money out of the matrix and into hard assets.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So because the next question is, why would anyone do that? Well, if you got $500,000, well, I'll let you answer it. Why would anybody do this?
Because you want to diversify your portfolio. So you said, well, I have a well-diversified portfolio. I'm in bonds and stocks and ETFs, and I have some derivatives, and I have this or that, or some equity in some small companies. You're still inside the Wall Street bubble. You're not diversified. So I have people that have $500,000, people 5 million, some people with 25,000, but they want to get their hands on some physical silver, or they want to buy some food stores. They want to buy some weapons. That helps them because they don't have the money, the savings to do it otherwise, but they have money sitting in 401ks or IRAs that they never do anything with. So I've had customers that have 10,000 here and 10,000 here and 10 for the different jobs that they've jumped from. And each individually, it doesn't really help them, but you combine it into $60,000 or $70,000. Now you can really do something with it. So that's what they do. They consolidate their money that way.
Right. And also, if Wall Street crashes, you still have property, or if the grid goes down, you own that, your IRA. Then at that point, you're saying, hey, the game's off. Go live in your retreat, eat your food. And if the government ever comes back, write them a check and pay it. But it probably won't happen.
God would hope that he would hope some kind of civilization would come back. Right.
Okay. Right. So the next question is, how is the amount of the distribution determined?
It's the fair market value. So if on a piece of property, for instance, say you have 10 acres in the hills of North Carolina, and let's say the county says it's worth $25,000, but the fair market value to sell it to somebody is $35,000. That's what the distribution has to be, because you have to get an appraisal from a legitimate appraisal company to tell you what it's worth. And that's what you take the distribution on.
Okay. If you already own a lot of silver, could I roll it over to my 401k and then purchase silver for myself? I guess.
Absolutely not. That's self-dealing. That's no. That is strictly verboten.
If you already own, maybe he owns silver through an organization. I don't know.
I think what they're saying is I get this question all the time. I have this piece of property. I want to transfer it into my 401k, or I have gold and silver sitting in my zip. Can I sell it to myself with a higher value? No, that's off limits. Absolutely.
Okay. Here is more. I am over 70. Can I gradually accumulate ownership of a survival retreat by taking 10% ownership each year?
Absolutely. That's a beautiful strategy, actually. So let's say that your property is worth $100,000 and you take $10,000 as your RMD. You're going to have to add that to your 1040 line as your retirement income. You just have to pay the cash out of your pocket, but you're accumulating this over the course of time. Absolutely.
Okay. Here's Cam Carver. She is my Rock Hill leader. If the government decides to confiscate 401ks?
Well, that's going to be very difficult because you're not in the Fidelity or the Vanguard or the Charles Schwab. You're not. It doesn't look like you don't look like a retirement plan. So your retirement plan is in a 200-page document in a binder that we send you, and your money sitting in is in a local bank account and in a business bank account. It doesn't look like the typical one they would confiscate. Then they'd have to follow the rabbit hole to whatever your property line is, or they'd have to find your gold that you lost in a boating accident. And there's just not enough manpower to do that. If they're going to confiscate your 401ks, they're going to go to Fidelity, Schwab, where all the money's sitting. Just like if they're going to confiscate your gold that most people are afraid of, then they're going to go to all the depositories with a deuce and a half in the 2nd Marine Division and line them all up and load it up. They're not going to come to your door and kick your door in and say, give me your sleeve of gold. They don't have the manpower, and there'd be a lot of dead bodies in the street before that happened.
Yep. Okay. Sonia has a follow-up. Okay. When I have 10% ownership via 10% RMD, can I stay there?
10% of the time, no.
Nope. Okay.
Because you don't own it outright. So you can do that. Now, there's another way you can do this. If, let's say you have 100 acres and you take your 10% and you subdivide, so you would have to do this in advance based on a strategy, and you're 70 years old and you're going to, over a 10-year period, take it. I would go to your county, subdivide your 100 acres into 10-acre plots, and each 10%, you carve that out and give it to yourself, and you change the title. At the end of 10 years, you have 100 acres title to you.
Okay. And then this is a great question. If I have 500K, why wouldn't I just buy it outright?
Well, I mean, if you have 500K in your 401K, you mean?
Yeah, well, you can't do it from your 401K currently. They won't let you.
Well, you can if you move into us, you can buy that outright, but you can't live on it. Again, you have the same situation because you'd have to take that distribution. So this money is always pre-tax. So the tax man will always come and get his booty.
Right. So if you've got 500,000 in your savings account, sure, you can do that.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not qualified money, so it doesn't matter. That's apples and oranges then.
Yeah, exactly. So you're trying to use money that's tied up in the system, because if Wall Street crashes, you lose everything. You don't have beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. You've got paper that says that you own money that you hope and pray one day will come back.
Right. And if they're the reset that they've been talking about recently, there's going to be a lot of changes coming. So if you have hard assets, that asset's not going to change in a reset. Right.
And so that's why hard assets, property, gold, silver, guns, and a lot of people, they've put money back and they don't have the money to go buy the food that they might need right now, where they could with this. Right. And it's an investment. I mean, we all the preppers, we always look at this stuff as an investment. We look at guns as toys, sure. Food's an investment. It's an insurance plan. And how about body armor and things like that? You can buy everything.
Everything, but you just can't. Once you strap it on, then you owe tax on it.
Okay. So what's this question? What's the minimum investment to start a 401k in precious metals?
We stick with 15,000 because for all transparency, our service has a one-time fee of $1,200 to start this whole program, which has the 200 pages of documentation, the bank account, the rollover, all our concierge services, our all-inclusive 360 coverage, holistic view for you is $1,200. So if anything really under 15,000, you could just pay the tax depending on your tax band. But I morally won't do that. I mean, I know people that do it for $5,000, but I won't do that because it's morally wrong.
Right. Okay. Here's a question. Can your friend do the same thing and you both each pay each other $200 rent per month? And you stay on their property and they stay on your property? I would think you could, but it has to be fair market value, though, wouldn't you think?
Right. I mean, if you can set up a rent, I mean, if the rent going in the area for what is $1,000 a month, and you're giving it for $200, then that's not fair market rent, then you're going to get busted.
Right, but I guess you could do that legally if they have a property, you have a property,
and you're contiguous to each other. Then you could do that, but you have to pay. That's the going rate in the area. Yeah, if the going rate in the area is $200 a month, fine. But if it's $1,500 and you're charging $200, you're eventually going to get in trouble.
And here's the thing: that money, when you pay it to your friend, they don't get that money. That money goes straight back into their IRA.
Well, to the 401k.
Oh, the 401k, yeah. And so it's not like y'all can then exchange money at the end of the month.
No.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
No. So it's going to be out of pocket for both you guys, but both of you guys are making more money every month. So
Now, the one thing that we haven't talked about is the loan provision of the 401k, and this may solve a lot of the problems.
Okay.
So, let's say you have $100,000 in your 401k, you roll it into with us. You can borrow up to $50,000 of that money and pay yourself back. So, if you want to buy if you can buy 5 acres wherever you are, or 10 acres for $50,000, then you can do that, and you're paying yourself back a loan. Excuse me. And the current interest rate, because of how low the interest rates are now, is 2.5%. So it's cheap money. So let's say you use it as your primary residence, then you can amortize that out as for 15 years at 2.5%. So that's cheap mortgage, and you can write off the interest on your 1040 as long as you itemize.
So you're saying your 401k, you loan yourself, you take a loan out of it. Let's say it's $100,000, and you buy that retreat property, and then it's fair market value that you bought the property at the property price.
Well, the maximum loan is $50,000.
Oh, it's the maximum is 50. Okay.
50% or 50. Well, again, till December 31st, they've softened the rules so you can borrow up to 100% or $100,000 through December 31st. Now,
Okay.
depending on what the next president or Trump does, depending on who's going to be in power, then they may extend the CARE Act beyond that, depending on how bad COVID is.
But if I put $500,000 in there, is it still $50,000 only?
Yeah, the maximum is 50% or $50,000. Again, through the end of the year, it's $100,000.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let's go to, did we answer that question? Yeah, we
And I
did.
have a lot of people that have done that where they use the $50,000 as a down payment on their house, or they use it to buy a car or pay medical bills, or whatever the case may be.
So Mother Goose again. So if I have 401k and the economy tanks again, like in 2008, I will possibly lose a lot of money. However, if I move it over to Garvin Enterprises now, would it be safe? Well,
the Garvin Enterprise is strictly an illustration for him. Elizabeth, let's call yours Hawkins Enterprises 401k PSP. Then you would move it over into a local bank account and invest it into metals and land and stuff. If everything goes to hell in a handbasket and we're not selling handbaskets, then your money would be safe because you'll be sitting in property. Now, if everything devalues and we go into a depression and we have everything devalues, right, then you will still lose money. But again, you still have the physical asset that will one day come back. Whereas if you're sitting on paper assets, chances are things are just going to disappear.
right. And again, I know you don't have to do all of your 401k either, or can you do it in different, like, so let's say I have 500,000 total.
Right.
Can I do 100,000 this year? And then I'm like, the market really scares me, and I'm going to move 200,000 over to it later.
Absolutely. It's not all or nothing. You can move as much as little as you want multiple times. And again, as many different accounts as you have. I mean, I have clients that have 5 or 6 different 401ks and IRAs and things like that we consolidate into one place that gives them the economic power they need to get their, find their dream.
And tell me if I'm wrong. Let's say I have to move all my $500,000 and I have my checkbook right in front of me. If I want to invest in a startup company that is starting up and they're trying to raise $20,000 and I get a PPM in front of me, I sign it, I can write them a check for that startup company.
Right, under your 401k name, right? And so when it goes public and you make $1 million, it all comes back to your company, back to your 401k tax deferred.
Okay. Also, if I'm like, you know what? And so you can make other investments other than retreat property, guns, and ammo.
Oh, yeah. You can get into tax liens. There's been people doing tax liens, rental properties, commercial buildings, shopping centers. It's up to your imagination. The only thing that's off limits are collectibles. So you can't buy a Ming vase or ancient Chinese rug or a Picasso or a Rembrandt or rare wine or antique cars. Anything that you go to an auction for, with exception of, say, foreclosure property, are off limits. Now, I have a lot of people doing flippers. They buy a piece of property, they fix it up with a 401k, they sell it for $30,000, $40,000 of what they spent. That all goes back to their 401k. again, you have to be careful on how many you do, between 3 and 6, so you don't get caught up with there's a very unforgivable 35% tax that you could violate if you don't do it right. So, but so whatever you have private equity, you have private loans. I know people that loan money to people, and they charge them 10, 12% hard money loans that you could put money into pools like Lending Tree and stuff like that, and you make a really nice return, 15, 18%. And so, you could have losses there as well. So there's a risk quotient, right? So, but you can do a lot of different things that you can't do inside the Wall Street.
So your charges of your services, you said was $1,200.
It's like a one-time fee of $1,200, which includes the binder with 200 pages of legal documentation. We help you get a bank account, open them locally or through a virtual bank we work with. We help you get your money rolled over. We help you find investments. So we focus on 3 things the audience should think about. The first one is wealth preservation. So you don't lose your principal, right? So gold, silver, land, things like that fit that. We focus on growth and income, so your nest egg grows, because with inflation, it's just going to lose its value. And then liquidity, so you have access to your money if you have an emergency or you want a loan, or you have a sudden emergency with medical, or your roof you need a new roof or whatever. So you have access to that money.
So your fee is $1,200. My fee is $40. Is a premium member. Okay.
There you go.
I'm just kidding.
Worth twice that.
Okay. Let's go here. Someone, the $1,000 would be the same. I don't understand that. Hey, for
about the rent, probably.
Yeah, that's Matt. He's a friend of mine. About to become a police officer.
Thank you for your service, Matt.
Yep. He's getting ready to graduate from the academy. I was with his family last night.
Good for him.
I know it was a rough time. So here's Tom. What happens when they take all the money in the banks and all your land? What does it do for you? I mean,
how can they going to take your land? I don't see that.
They're not going to take your land, and that's why you're saying take
you don't pay your taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, they'll take your land.
Yeah, but what you're saying is, instead of having all your money digitally, because we know that the currency is vapor. There's not enough gold to back it up. We know it is not real money. Right. And what you're doing is taking real money, your investment, and you're exchanging it, or some of it, to hard assets.
Right.
Which they can't take.
Right. It's not all or nothing. It's not a zero-sum game. You could put in, I know people that have 100,000, they move 25 or 30 in from their 401k, and they leave the rest of it in Wall Street, and they move it around. So I do see somebody at the Pirates Republic asking a question about, what if you work for a company and have a company match for? Can you move these into this program? Sure, you can. There's a function called in-service withdrawal, and if you're with your company, you can see whether you can do that, and they'll tell you yes or no how much.
Mm-hmm. So this person asked how long you've been in business. Before you answer that, I was doing the checkbook IRA, which is different than what you do.
Right.
I was doing that in 2000, I think.
I think we probably know the same people you were with. I think we do, right?
Yeah. And so I've done this for people when it was a lot easier, less regulation, I guess, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and I would never do it again. But you, like I said, I tell these people, your clients are my friends.
Right.
And so, so the next question.
His question is, I've been in business 6 years, going on 7.
Yes. And again, there's nothing, I want people to know that there is absolutely nothing illegal about this. And you make sure, your job is to make sure that they stay above board no matter what.
Right. And they stay in compliance. And so we provide updates whenever the government changes. So they changed some of the program 5 times last year. We sent updates to our 500 clients last year, 4 to 5 times. And so so we keep you updated, and then we have unlimited phone support. So if you have a question or whether it's something you're going to do, I always ask my clients to call me first, make sure what you're doing is above board, because I'd rather stop you on the front end than have to unwind it on the back end, because it's a lot more dicey.
And you don't like working with illegal and people. I just know that about you.
Used to. I'm not Christian. I'm not going to do it. So
yeah, you just refuse to do that.
Right.
I make jokes sometimes, and you literally go, "That's not a joke," because I don't play around with that, because I don't I'm above
Right.
board no matter what.
It's not funny, right? Because
Right.
I don't like orange. Orange is my favorite color because I went to UT, but when I like the Tennessee State Volunteers, but I'm not going to wear an orange jumpsuit. Let's just put it
Right, right. Okay. What if you have a company for 401k and your company matches it, but so you don't, so you can still keep that 401k, right, and move the money out that they've already matched. And
right, especially, and this is a beautiful thing because if you're over 59 and a half, there is a federal rule that you can move your money out called the in-service withdrawal and keep your 401k intact. So I have clients that do this every year. So they move out a large chunk of their money, then they continue to contribute to it, then they get their match in January, then they sweep it out again. Then you accumulate it so they get their free money, their 50% match, and sweep it out every year. So and so that's a 50% gain on your money guaranteed, where you're not going to get that anywhere else.
Okay, we're back to Hawkins Enterprises. Is there a time frame for you to spend this 401k money once you move it from the 401k? No,
Absolutely. You can let it sit there forever. I wouldn't recommend that, but you can.
You can just leave it in cash and your local Bank of America, and you have a checkbook.
And they'll love you for that because they'll sweep it out every night.
Yeah, and they'll use it. Yes. Right. Okay, Elizabeth, another. She's responding to someone else. Can I pay the out? Can they pay the service out of the 401k rollover?
Half of it. You can pay $600 out of pocket because the IRS requires you to pay something out of the pocket because we set you with a small business sole proprietorship, which you have to make a couple $100 a year. It's just a requirement of the IRS rules, which anybody can generate a couple $100 a year if there's cleaning houses, doing handyman work or whatever. So we'll allow you to pay $600 out of pocket, and then when your money comes in, you can pay the balance out of your 401k as services.
Okay, I want to stop right here and say, guys, you guys are asking great questions. I mean, you guys, and I love this because, I can see that you're interested because you're asking real questions, and that is exactly why I wanted Ross to come on, because I know that he's helped friends of mine that had all this money tied up, and they've been able to do other things with it. And I've seen how it changes people's confidence too when they can manage their own IRA or their 401k. They can manage it with their investments. And tell me if I'm wrong. So let's say you move all $500,000 out into your self-directed IRA or your 401k. I can then also open up a brokerage account from that and do my own investing, just like I was doing with the institution, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You go to Schwab and open up again, back to Hawkins Enterprises 401k. Elizabeth could open up a brokerage account at Schwab under that same name, move 100,000 in there and play in the market all she wants. You can do crypto. You can do a lot of different things.
Yes. And so it gives you just total freedom and with your money, and you can have hard assets. So with the companies having to match 401k, can you move it? I don't think you can move the money out of your 401k if your company's matching it unless you're 59 and over, correct?
Well, it depends on the plan. Some companies allow you to do it.
Okay.
So you have to call your administrator from your HR and say, can I do it? What's called and everybody should write these words down. May I perform an in-service withdrawal?
There you go. Next question. I'm getting late. Would it be able to finish watch on replay? Yes, this will be on YouTube. It'll be up there permanently for a while for you guys to see it. You can watch
until they block it. Until they block it.
Until they block me. That's right. We moved to wee wee. The
MeWe, right.
That's the second time I said that today. We've moved off Facebook to MeWe, and we're looking for. Okay, next question. They're talking about using the UN plan. No more single family housing. I don't know what they're talking. Okay,
it's the reason you buy ARs.
Yeah, that's yes. And so here's another one. If you don't have a 401k and you just have a lot of money in your savings account, can you start one with you in this plan?
Well, I mean, again, you could. I mean, it just depends on what you want to do. That we could have to talk through that and how much money you have in savings, and then you would start a 401k. And it depends on your age, and so it'd be better for them to call me on the number on our website, and we can talk through all that, or send me a contact request, and I'll reach out to you.
What would you recommend? An investment of $10,000 in cash instead of keeping it in savings. I would invest in Preppernet with a $10,000 donation.
Well, I would probably disagree with you on that.
Oh,
but I would say put 25% of that money into precious metals. We don't have any. So if anybody that's listening doesn't have a core position in precious metals, then they need to get that, and then put the rest, donate the rest to Preppernet.
Yeah. So would you? I mean, I know you're not an investment consultant, and you don't.
I'm not an advisor. I'm not licensed.
Advisor, but I like personally, if you're going to hold it, you like gold or silver better. I'll just ask that. Not as an investment.
Well, I mean, it depends on how much money you have, and again, because there's gold and silver have different roles.
Right.
Gold is a store of wealth. All right. So if you have $500,000, I would probably go 60-40 gold to silver. But silver has several components. You have, like, say, your 1 ounce, well, you have 1,000-ounce bars and all that. I'm not talking about that. But you have a 1 ounce silver coin. You have pre-1964 dimes, quarters, and halves, and silver dollars. That's more for bartering. So you don't want to use, so in a grid down situation, you don't want to use a 1 ounce silver coin to buy a loaf of bread from your neighbor. You're going to use our silver quarter or dime, right, depending on how that all works out. So you have transactional silver, you have bartering silver, and then you have gold, which would be, 1 ounce gold coin that may get you through a checkpoint or safe passage on a boat or whatever. So back if you use history as a lesson, people escaping Nazi Germany, many of them Jews that are escaping death camps, would have gold, and they use their gold to give them safe passage. I would suggest that would probably be true today as well.
Apparently, either me or you told someone about this at Prepper Camp. You turned me on to this at Prepper Camp, so that I couldn't wait for this training info. Well, good. Okay. Here's another question. Here we go. I'll just say this. Whoever my domain is, you need to go to MeWe and get help. There are preppers there that can help you. This is not the forum to get help. And so go to MeWe, and I have the smartest preppers in the world on MeWe right now, live.
So my husband's 70 years old, and federal employee has an investment in TSP. Can you? Yeah, you can use that. Yeah, I have a lot of clients that have moved their TSP over to Survival 401k. Absolutely. So Sonia, you should reach out to me. We can definitely help you.
Okay. Is this another question here? Full-time job. Can I open a solo 401k? I'm not sure what a solo 401k is.
That's our product. That's what our product is.
Okay.
Single member, husband, wife, brother, sister, father, son, kind of mother, daughter kind of thing.
And he also have my LLC for a side hustle. Does the LLC need to make certain amount of revenue each year?
Yeah, generally around $200 each year. I mean, again, there is no hard and fast guideline by the IRS, but you have to be trying to make money. So if you have a side hustle with an LLC, you meet all because you're trying to make extra money. You're creating an extra income stream. So that is a good story right there. So this is where if you have an LLC with a side hustle, then you can put up to, depending on your age, up to like $56,000 a year away from that LLC. So if you're doing really well with it, you can put away a lot of that money for your retirement. So if you're over 60, you get another $6,500. Over 50, you get another $6,500.
Would you say that again? So if you have a side hustle LLC, and let's just say you said let's say she made $50,000 extra. How much of that can she put into her? Depending
on her age, almost all of it.
Really?
If you're under 50, you could put in up to $19,500 voluntarily, and then another 25% of your profits can go into this as well.
Okay.
So maximum of like 56 and some change, right?
Here's a question that was sent earlier today on MeWe, which is our new location. My understanding is that a 401k 401k requires a business versus an IRA doesn't.
That's correct. So with the solo 401k, it was made up in 2002 or created in 2002 to help entrepreneurs have the same benefit of people that work in cubes and corporations or used to. Now they work at home. But so no, mostly generally entrepreneurs, and I'm one of them. You are, and so is Forrest. Is you're always hunting for your breakfast. Your retirement plan is your urn or your coffin for many years. So in 2002, they wanted to give these entrepreneurs the same benefits as people that work for large corporations. And so our 401k that we have is just a microcosm of what you have at Fidelity if you work for Chase or Exxon or whoever. It's the same type of plan with the differences. We are trustee based versus participant. So that gives us a broader range of options to do for investments.
Okay. Next question that came in earlier today from JoJo. Thoughts on setting up an offshore 401k LLC? Is there any need to do that?
That gets complicated, and I really don't want to answer that question here. There's so many variables.
Okay.
You can do it, and there's a lot of things. If you do something wrong, it's not pretty. So I'd rather not get into that here.
Okay. And thoughts. Oh, gold and silver. How much should you? So there's different investments in gold and silver. There's truly just gold and silver, but then there's also truly
ETFs and things like that.
What'd you say?
There are ETFs and there are funds. I have a friend that runs a metals fund he's out of Alabama, but they you probably met him, Craig.
Oh yeah, I know Craig.
Yeah, he started a metals fund that you can get into.
But you don't actually physically hold it then.
But not with him. No, it's in an investment fund. But you want physical metal, you can do that through the form. You can hold it in your home.
What can you not do with this money and purchase?
Well, collectibles we talked about, right? And you can't just go and stroke a check to pay your mortgage. You can't buy a car with it and just drive around in it. You can't do that. You can do that through the loan feature, but you can't do that just straight up.
I'm just trying to think of things you can't. You can't invest in education for yourself?
No.
Okay.
You can loan yourself the money to do that. So there's a lot of things you can do that way, which we recommend people using the loan function, but you can't do anything that's going to benefit you personally.
Mm-hmm.
That's completely off limits.
Okay. So what about let's say that your parents are getting close to, they're getting old.
Right.
Would this be a good plan, or would this be helpful at all for inheritance to go through probate or to get?
Absolutely. Well, right, absolutely, because this plan is the 401k plans are out. This particular plan is outside of probate. Now,
right.
You can also have a beneficiary where it leaves it to an estate or it leaves it to a trust or something like that.
So if you're let's say that someone's father is 93.
Oh no, he's past the age. He's already no.
So he can't do anything.
He's over 72 and a half, something like that. It gets to be more dicey if you're over, because you're probably already taking your RMD. So it gets to be dicey there. So generally before your RMD age is when we can do it, because it's going to be hard to prove to the IRS that you are working a small business at the age of 93, right? So that's stretching the rules way over the top.
I
do have a hard stop, so I hate to cut you off, but I do have a hard stop soon.
Okay. Here's the last question I have. If you own the corporation, can you get in this program through the corporation?
Yeah, if you own the corporation, absolutely. The 401k can be part of it could be attached to your corporation.
Okay. Perfect. That's all the questions I think I have. So let's do this. If you got a hard stop. So tell us how to get up with you, when they can call, how the bet, I guess, go. You just give me all your information on
Sure.
how everyone can call you or email you, and you do offer a free phone call or something, don't you?
Sure. We have a free 30-minute consultation for anybody that wants to find out more. You can reach us at survival401k.com. Again, survival401k.com. You can call us at 844-650-5733, or just go to our website and there's a contact us page, and we can just send us a quick contact and we'll reach back out to you, set up a 30-minute meeting. You can even book an appointment on there now, and we can either do a Zoom or a phone call, so whichever you prefer.
And then you can talk about all their issues and find out, and they can determine with your help if this is something that they want to do or they should do.
Correct.
And I'll tell you guys, Ross is a straightforward guy. If it's not in your best interest, he's going to tell you.
Right. I'm not going to blow smoke. No.
Yeah, he doesn't blow smoke. He's a good Christian guy, and his job is to protect you and make sure you do this correctly, and keep doing it correctly over the years too.
Right. Yep, for sure.
So, well, that's the information I thought was important to get out. I've had people ask me this. Actually, people have missed you at Prepper Camp because they're like, "Hey, where's that?" And I'm like, "Hey, I know who that guy is. Why don't you give him a call? Here he is." But thanks for coming on.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. It's been great to see you again, and I look forward to listening to people and hearing their questions and helping them out. Absolutely.
And I want people to know this as well. Of all the people that have come to you and use you that I know, have you ever paid me one dime for any of it?
Nope, not even a cup of coffee.
Not even a cup of coffee, and that kind of ticks me off.
Well, I'll send you a 6-pack of beer next time.
Okay, but nothing. I don't get anything. I just think it's a great plan, and if you need it or you can use it, this is the way to go, and that's the reason I'm doing this. So
thank you, Forrest. I appreciate it. We've known each other for a long time, so thank you for your call.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you know what? We're going to, okay. One last question. James says, I'm a 100% disabled veteran. Does this help me transfer my accounts to it doesn't matter if you're a veteran or disabled, does it?
I'm just wondering what kind of account he's talking about. I mean, if he's talking about his disability checks or something like that, no, we can't do that. But if you have a TSP that you're sitting on and you're a veteran and you contributed to the TSP through the military, then you could definitely do it. But again, He can call me. We can talk through what his situation is. Be glad to talk to a fellow veteran. Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. Ross, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for coming on. Everyone at Survival 401k, this video will be up and you can watch it again. And I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate being here.
Yep. Good evening, everyone.